What's up, guys? All right, so today we're going to be talking about the differences between Jaeger and Wamai. So we're going to be talking about what operator you should play for the utility, what operator is better when you're kind of solo, kind of playing your own, doing your own thing, and what operator is better overall in different situations. So we're going to be just comparing Wamai versus Jaeger to really talk about who you should bring. So let's get to it. So first, we're going to talk about the pros of Jaeger. So Jaeger, his ADSs are great for denying utility like grenades, smoke grenades, what have you, just other types of throwable utility. Really good because they'll disable one utility and they'll take like 10 seconds or so, 12 seconds or so, and they'll be back to disable another utility. When your ADSs start getting burned, you can start peeking, like stalling them out. If they peek with a grenade in their hand, then you just get a free pre-fire on them. If you can basically need to stall out the time for the ADS to come back, and the ADS will keep working just non-stop if you give them time to recharge. It's really strong. The only downside to the ADS is that you have to place them in advance. So if place them in advance is a little rough, like on the fly, you have to really set up early. So if you don't set up early, you're not really going to be able to place these on the fly. So that's a massive downside of the ADSs versus Wamai's disc, which we're going to talk about next. So let's talk about Wamai's disc. So he can throw them on the fly. He'll get quite a few throughout the round. I believe he gets like 5 to 6. But you're going to get them throughout the round. So you're not going to be able to place them all at once. So you're going to have at most like 2 after prep. So that's a lot less than Jaeger. I mean, Jaeger can only have 3, Wamai gets 2. So how are the discs bad? If Wamai gets 2 and he gets more later, but Jaeger only gets 3 altogether, how are the discs comparable? Well, the discs, you can throw them anywhere and you don't have to deploy them. You can just wing them and they'll grab a utility, certain utility, a grenade or a flashbang. See, it grabs a grenade there. But the biggest thing is that when the Wamai disc grabs utility, it will still activate the utility. Let's say you throw a flashbang or a frag grenade, it'll grab it, it'll do the spin sound, and then it'll still explode. It'll either flash or explode, it'll do something. It won't disable the utility completely. So that's not really good if you, like, let's say you are stacking on, let's say, smoke shield right here. Let's say instead of the ADS that you see right here, I put a disc there. So if they throw a frag grenade, the disc grabs a grenade and it still blows up and it still destroys the shield. So the discs are good on a more open setup and like playing like near tarp and pillar. I can throw the disc like just to defend the pillar with the disc fairly well, but I think that Jaeger does a better job at holding down these shields like so. So now let's talk about Jaeger's overall like just combat ability. Jaeger's gun is a little bit harder to use. It can kind of recoil a bit, but it still is basically an AR. In terms of DPS potential, it is an extremely good gun. One thing I've noticed is that you just have to pre-fire a little bit more than you would like other defender guns. So it's still good and you can still get decent headshots, but it is nice being able to rely just on just the pure raw damage of the carbine. It is an extremely good gun. The problem obviously is that recoil when you need to go for a headshot, especially on defense. A lot of times the attackers are going to have better guns than you. Jaeger doesn't really have to worry about that as much, but his gun is going to be a little recoily, so it's going to be harder to hit a pinpoint precision headshot with Jaeger's gun. Now let's talk about Wamai's gun. So Wamai will get the MP5, which is a headshot machine currently with 1.5. I say currently because there has been talk about it potentially getting removed. And the AUG. The AUG is an attacker gun like you've seen on, like, let's say IQ. It's extremely good, barely any recoil. The only bad side is that it is ugly. So I think in terms of raw weaponry, Wamai does have the better guns compared to Jaeger. They do have some of the highest hitting weaponry compared to almost all the defenders. So extremely strong weapons for Wamai. Personally, I just enjoy the weapons that Wamai has. You can run the MP5 or the AUG and you're going to be having a good time. So now let's talk about the differences between Wamai and Jaeger in terms of just overall potential. So overall utility, I like to think that Jaeger's utility is a little bit better because it is a leave, set, and forget type of utility. It is great for that. There is really no downside to Jaeger's ADSs. it's just nice to be able to like play around your ADSs, not have to really worry about having to die to any grenades or have to worry about any type of utility ever going off near you. So I think overall you can go either way. You can go Wamai disc or ADS. I think the Wamai discs are a little bit more pliable when you are trying to go for like a more open sight, trying not just to hold one shield. Jäger is definitely better when you're just trying to have one thing that is not grenaded out. Like you want to really protect one shield aspect of your setup. I think Jäger is definitely better for that. But if you're just trying to overall protect an entire site from utility, like flashbangs and grenades and whatever, I feel like Wamai is more than fine. And Wamai's guns overall are a little bit easier for the normal user. And Wamai's guns are just typically overall better, I would like to say. Jäger's guns are good, they're not bad, but you have to use them a certain way. They're not the best. Wamai's guns, I think, are the best. So let's go through some of this setup. So this is with a Jäger and a Wamai. So like the Jäger is going to have all of his ADSs towards the shield to make it a little bit easier for the shield to like not get exploded. And watch how I throw this disc. I'm not going to throw it near the ADSs because the disc in tandem with Jäger, I throw my disc there because when they throw anything, it'll absorb, but it'll still go off. So I want it very far away from any type of utility that the attackers are going to throw. So the ADSs, you can stack them up all together. So they're going to absorb 3 sets of whatever that's thrown here. So 3 flashbangs, 3 frag grenades, what have you. The disc is only going to take 1, and I'm going to have to be creative on how I throw them so they don't blow each other up. So it takes a little bit of technical know-how, but Wamai is more than fine. In higher elo, a lot of times you will see mostly Wamai's running around because Wamai is easier to frag with. Jäger's fine, but in terms of just the solo raw one-on-one ability, you can't beat Wamai with Jäger. Like Jäger's just doesn't have the kit for it. Jäger does have barbed wire, Wamai has impacts. So overall, Wamai is more of a playmaker. But honestly, there's not really a but there. Like Wamai is just an overall better playmaker and fighter. Jäger is more of a sight setup, and you do what you can. Like his guns are good, their guns are solid, but it does really involve a little bit more pre-firing with Jäger's guns to really win a firefight, because it is a bumpy ride using that gun. I don't know that many people that can use it super effectively. Best I can tell you when you're Jäger is just when you go for a fight, make sure you pre-fire hard. Wamai, you can kind of do whatever. Like he is the best gun from every type of defender, so you can run whatever you want as Wamai. But Jäger, you have to play your cards perfectly or it's going to be a little tough. So in terms of just general, like if you're by yourself, solo queue, I think that Wamai is hands down the better op to pick. But in terms of team comp, if you have a team or you have a teammate that you are trying to work with, I think Jäger is completely fine to pick if you have like a certain section that you're trying to hold off. Like let's say Villa top main, ADSs are great there, or like let's say the elbow shield on Oregon like we have here. Completely fine to run Jäger. I like to run Wamai though. Like if I'm just kind of like playing on the fly, I will use a disc whenever I see an opportunity to use a disc, when I feel like a grenade might come down that way. But he's just an overall better solo queue op. All right, so just for wrap up, so both ops are solid. Both ops are in the current meta. Jäger, definitely more of a team-oriented character. You are there setting up with all your utility, and then it's leave and forget, and then you're just playing with a decent gun. His gun is pretty good. I know I spent a little bit just kind of bashing on it, but it's not a bad gun. The gun can do work, but it just takes the right hands to use. Like you're gonna have to get used to it because it's like using buck. Like the gun's tough, but it can work. Wamai, very easy to use. I mean, you run the AUG, you run the MP5, doesn't really matter. You're okay. I like the impacts because I like being able to make plays like Kool-Aid Manning through a rotate or when on the fly when you need to. The disc on the fly if you feel like grenades are gonna come or what have you. Wamai is just more of a flexible op. Jäger is a very strategic op. So, all right, guys, that is the biggest differences between Jäger and Wamai that I personally found. If you're going to solo queue, if you're like gold, plat, and you're just solo queuing, don't be afraid to just pick Wamai. Like, if you feel like you can't run Jäger, because a lot of people that I see, they run Jäger because they feel like they have to, and they go like 1-9 at the end of the game. Don't feel like you have to run Jäger. Try some Wamai. Maybe he's a better fit for you for your current gun ability. Like, personally, I definitely prefer Wamai. I can use Jäger, but Jäger's gun is rough. Wamai could do a lot better. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Next video, we're going to be focusing on roam clearing, which is going to be with Dokkaebi and Jackal. We're going to compare the two, which one's better, what one's overall superior, all that fun stuff. So yeah, make sure to subscribe, drop a comment, and leave a like for more. Reach you guys something. Bye. Hey.